Hello? Yeah, this is him. Yeah, I knew Angel. She had a given talent to be able to change her appearance.
There were a lot of details that were never released to the public. I don't know that I'm at liberty to release some of this stuff now, actually. I very well remember that night. When you're in law enforcement, you always have that one or two cases that haunt you, and this is one of them.
The police arrived on scene that night around 11:15, 11:30. And, they were finding bodies up until the late afternoon the next day. The murder scene was horrific.
Say what unfolded Monday morning was heartbreaking to see.
An autopsy is pending, but police say an edged weapon like a knife was used in what they call a targeted attack.
Captain Alpha 1 on the bus.
I want to take the time to thank you guys for actually investigating this further, because this is probably Arizona's biggest unsolved murder mystery in the state's history. I personally knew her for a while. This case is wild, without a doubt. Prostitution, alcohol, drugs, and a murder scene that it just doesn't make sense.
Of course, naturally, I said, "Where are you and what's going on?" He's supposed to be off duty on his way home. And then he just said that he needed technicians, he needed other detectives, he needed paramedics.
The police arrived on scene that night around 11:15, 11:30. And, they were finding bodies up until the late afternoon the next day. The murder scene was horrific, and I don't understand how they say one person committed all these crimes, and she doesn't weigh 135 pounds wet. I actually knew her, and I just can't see how one person, can murder all those people by herself. The police department, they really dropped the ball on this one. None of the evidence pointed to her, but she was still charged.
The state's case is set to resume on Tuesday.
But if she really didn't do it, that means there's someone out there still. And we still have no idea who did it. Honestly, we still don't really know what happened.
It's possible that it could have been somebody else there to help, but the DA never found an accomplice.
And he had just finished up another crime scene, and he was on his way home. I don't know what made him go the direction he went. I have no idea. All I know is he got on the radio and started saying he needed backup.
She was a good person. She just, got caught up in the wrong situation. Just out of thin air, she decided to kill everybody. It makes no sense. And this is why this case is still an open investigation.
The Angel Adams case shocked the country as the facts became known. The story dominated the headlines.
I'm really fascinated with the Angel Adams case.
And people flocked to social media to express their views about Adams' personal demons and ethical quandaries.
Angel Adams, I know that's everything everyone can talk about, but I'm sorry, she did this.
She came into Walmart in the North Side. She was really hot.
Miss Adams is my favorite teacher. I don't believe she could do a horrible thing like that.
A community remains haunted by the unsolved murders surrounding Angel Adams.
Man, they done accused my girl Angel Adams of 3 murders. I don't believe that shit.
She's a vile human being.
Through a series of gripping interviews with key players, delve into a complex web of motives, suspects, and cryptic clues.
She is a criminal who did horrendous things. Angel Adams is guilty.
The Angel Adams mystery ignites the curiosity and leaves you questioning the boundaries of morality and the lengths we will go to seek redemption in the face of unspeakable evil.
I'm Rockin' Robin. You know, I like the strange and unusual. I'm one of those kind of people, if you've ever seen the movie Beetlejuice, remember the young girl? She said she is a bit strange and unusual. I am that person because I delve into things, not only true crime, I see it from the police officer's side. I'm like everyone else. I'm curious why things happen the way they do. I want to know why people do the things they do. But I also have a weird sense of the not so normal reasons why things happen. You know, kind of like the paranormal stuff. I know it's weird to mix that with true crime, but we really don't know what goes on with people. We really don't know what happens. And here's the biggest thing. How do we explain evil? How do we explain somebody that you would never know? I mean, how many times do you see serial killer people interviewed? Oh, I knew him, he was a great guy, but he's out there killing a bunch of people. We just don't know. So what I do as an investigator, I just like to dig deep and find out what's going on. I want to know what's going on in these people's minds. I want to know what happens, because things happen that just don't make sense. And, you know, I do a lot of podcasts, I do interviews, I talk to people from all different walks of life, and I find it really interesting to learn about people, their psyche, and I do get to talk to people that do things out of the ordinary, and why. I get to sit down and ask them why, because that's a natural curiosity. Why are we so much involved with true crime shows? Because we want to know the answer. Why? Why would you do that? And you know, I'm really fascinated with the Angel Adams case. I mean, come on, lone survivor in a mass killing, and she wasn't convicted? There has to be more to the story than that. And the investigator in me wants to just get a hold of this and find out why, what happened. Why is there no resolve in this case? How many years has it been now? What about her friend? You know, the friend she supposedly had conversations with? There's just way too many details that don't make sense. And you have to ask yourself, again, how is she the only survivor? I'm not willing to turn my back on this. And I do know other people are not willing to turn their back on this. We want to find out what happened, and we want to know why. And of course, who did this? There's no way this should go unsolved. So I'm not going to stop until I unturned every stone. I'm going to go after whatever I can, and I'm not going to give up. And the coolest thing, I just happened to bump into the police dispatcher, and she wants to fill me in on some stuff. And she's not afraid to go on camera.
I very well remember that night. You know, when you're in law enforcement, you always have that one or two cases that haunt you, and this is one of them. Actually, I was working with my detective, and he had just finished up another crime scene, and he was on his way home. I don't know what made him go the direction he went. I have no idea. All I know is he got on the radio and started saying he needed backup. Of course, naturally, I said, "Where are you and what's going on?" You know, he's supposed to be off duty on his way home. And then he just said that he needed technicians, he needed other detectives, he needed paramedics. And then he told me, you know, that there was, you know, he was at this big, huge property. I think it was like, what, 2 or 3 acres? I don't remember now. But he just said that there was a lot of bodies. And he said something about a survivor. So, of course, naturally, I started EMS. I started everybody that way. And that ended up being a big mess, you know, as far as, you know, there were a lot of details that were never released to the public. I don't know that I'm at liberty to release some of this stuff now, actually. Honestly, I don't want to get in trouble myself. But the fact is that, you know, Angel Adams, initially, she was charged. And then, of course, as we all know, she was released. But I'm going to look at it as the point of the devil's advocate, like, what if she really didn't do it? What if she really didn't do it? That means there's someone out there still, and we still have no idea who did it. Honestly, we still don't really know what happened. I just know that there was a lot of victims. There was a crime scene, honestly, I still wake up from bad dreams now. Because after I finished my shift, they asked me if I'd go out and help, because they also knew I had experience as evidence technician, and they also knew that I had experience with photography, so they asked me if I'd go out there and help, because the guy who was supposed to go out there and photograph the scene got sick, so they sent him home, so they sent me in there. I'm not supposed to talk about this part, but when my officer found Angel, she was on the phone with someone. She called someone to come out there, and my officer heard her say, "Bring your camera." I'm still not entirely clear if that guy knew what had happened or knew what was going to happen. I don't know what the point was in calling him out there, but oh my God, as soon as that guy arrived on scene, those cops were on him they were just all over him. And they held him for several hours, questioning what he knew about it. And of course, he was just insisting, they'd been close. And whenever she got into any kind of situation, he was always the one she would call. And she didn't tell him what was going on. She just said, bring your camera, bring your camera. So that poor guy ended up coming in and definitely being detained. And then finally, they had to let him go. And to this day, they don't know if he actually had something to do with it, or if he really was just dragged into it by his friend. And she's never been clear on why she brought him out there either. But my detective still has doubts about him, and he firmly believes that she had something to do with it too. And the statements and things that she gave were just way out there.
Do you think you could, is it possible to get us in contact with your detective, and would he be willing to talk about this case?
I'm sure he would. I'll talk to him. We were pretty close. We worked closely for years, and I know for a fact this case still just really eats at him. Frankly, it pisses him off, because this is the one he couldn't solve, and he does not like that at all.
Rockin' Robin, I'm Detective Bird.
Detective Bird, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How are you today?
I'm good. Good. In fact, I'm kind of looking forward to talking about this.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. So come on in.
Okay.
Welcome to the studio.
Let's
have a seat.
Anywhere?
I know this may seem a little awkward for you, but Beth, the dispatcher, gave me your information, so I really do appreciate you being here to talk to me about this. I know for a fact that this case has bothered you for a long time. I mean, I can see sitting here with me the level of concern on your face, and I've always been interested in it. For some reason, it just bothers me as well. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. She was the lone survivor. This is what happened, but yet there's so many variables going on here. There's so many people who have talked about things, and I tend to believe a lot of this is true. It's like, I'm not saying everybody is 100% truthful here, but there's a lot of information that I've had during my investigations that seem like we're getting the truth to some level out of some people. And I mean, I know you're an officer, okay? I've dealt with some really off the wall stuff during investigations, and it just doesn't seem right. It seems like there's something more to this.
Without a doubt.
And I mean, I'm a skeptic myself, and I know police officers have to follow a certain rule with investigations, but
we do.
It just seems like there's something a little sinister going on here. I mean, I don't know.
I would correct you only to the extent that it's a little sinister. I think it's a lot sinister.
You think so?
I do. So this is that one case that really bothers me. We're talking a mass murder, and lone survivor or involver. I don't know. There's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. So I am actually really appreciative of you hearing the story, because I want to talk about it. There's so much to talk about, and not just Angel, but who was on the other end of that phone? Some camera guy? What's with that?
That doesn't make sense to me either.
It makes sense if they're involved. Then it does make sense.
It makes you wonder, because she's the only one left.
Yeah, if this stinks to high heaven, I can start at a lot of places, but where it really starts is with Angel. There's evidence on her miscarriage of justice, and why did she call that person, that number, that elusive individual, that to this day, his information is redacted in almost every report, and that stinks to high heaven. It really does.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Thank you. It doesn't, right?
Why would it be redacted?
Exactly.
Who are they,
who are they, right?
Who are they protecting?
I don't, somebody, because that's not normal. That's not normal protocol. I mean, I get you have to redact X amount of information. Social security number, sure. You know, maybe date of birth, maybe, but everything. Now, what's nice is I still have friends on the department. So if you want, I can definitely try to get the information for you through, it can't come from me, but I can get you the information if that could help, because I think he's the key. I really do. Now, is he dirty? Yeah, he is. He is. Without a doubt, he's dirty, but he could be helping her, and they are helping him, and so it could be the domino effect to solve this case. I think he's the key. I really do.
Okay, so why don't I get a crack at him? Give me the opportunity with that. I mean,
I love it, and I will help in any way I can. If I do something not really above board, I just can't have my name involved in that.
I don't know nothing.
I have a good reputation.
I'm not going to do anything to destroy that. You have my confidence in that. I will not do that to you.
Okay.
But if I can help you guys with this in any way, shape, or form, I mean, look, how long has this gone on?
Oh my God, decades.
For a long time.
Decades.
Wouldn't you like to sleep at night?
This will always bother me until, Justice, that's a mass murder. I mean, this is unheard of. Mass murders get solved. You don't redact and hide information. So I really do, seriously, I really do appreciate you being involved to the extent, and I do think you could probably get something where I couldn't. I don't like this guy. I don't. And it probably comes across when I talk to him, which...
Give me a shot at it. Let me see what I can do with this guy.
I would love for him to come clean, because there's something he needs to come clean on. I don't know what it is. I don't. I just know it stinks to high heaven. He was the first phone call. I can't find information about him easily, right? And why don't I get a chance to talk to this guy? So
I don't like this guy now.
Thank you.
I don't like this guy.
I've been excluded.
Let me have a piece of him. Let me see what I can do.
Maybe a little good cop, bad cop.
I would love that.
I can't stay long, but I don't want you to think that doesn't mean this isn't important to me. It is very important to me.
I understand how important this is.
So I do got to take off, but I will absolutely find you something where you'll be able to talk to this guy. I promise, and I'll just make a phone call, whenever I get something. But
listen, we're going to do our best with this, okay?
I hope you can. I mean it.
We have to try, right? That's all we can do.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. You'll definitely hear from me.
Okay, works for me.
This is Robin.
Robin, Detective Burch here. Is this a good time to talk?
Absolutely.
I do have a name. I have information. Again, please don't release you got this from me.
I don't know nothing. I don't know where it came from.
I got your email from last week, so can I just email you the information, and that way there's nothing on the phone? That way,
yeah, we can do that just to keep you safe. Do me a favor.
Yes.
At the top, just put info.
You got it. Just info, nothing
just
more.
Just info. You don't have to do anything else. I'll expect that. So this way,
Perfect.
I don't know the email, don't know it's coming from you retrospectively. It's just there. So this way, I know it's coming from you.
Perfect.
We'll keep it on the down low.
Thank you. I truly appreciate that. And Godspeed. Get this guy.
You got it. I'll do my best.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Get some rest, man.
Thanks.
Take
Bye.
care.
I miss her. She was a true friend. She ended up in a really bizarre situation that really cost her life. At some point during this process, you're going to think I was involved. I have no idea why she called me that night. Just doesn't make sense. But I met Angel in college, actually. We went to one of the local community colleges here in Phoenix, and psychology class, actually. I met her in psychology class. One day I walk in, and it's a normal day. Professor's giving a lecture. Class was pretty packed, and the closest available seat was right next to her. So I go and sit down, start to take notes. I just so happened to glance over at her laptop, and I probably wasn't supposed to see what was on there. It was just by sheer luck, honestly. But I looked over, and there were these pictures of her. It looked like she had done what is known as a boudoir photography shoot. And, my reaction, this is where the spark in our relationship really happened. At that time, I was starting a photography business. And, she let me know that she was having trouble trying to upgrade the resolution and quality of these pictures that she had recently taken. I knew a little bit about Photoshop and how to upgrade the resolution of images. So, I taught her the difference between 72 DPI and 300 DPI. So, her and I, became friends, based off of, photography, and then of course, psychology class. She was in school to be a school teacher, and that was her goal for her future self. After that day in class, we got closer, and eventually she invited me over to her place to do a photo shoot. Let's be honest here, Angel was the reason, my photography prices started at $50 and then eventually went up to $200 an hour. She introduced me to a network of individuals that were paying for the right, product, high resolution images. And, you got to keep in mind, this is 2008, 2009, when cell phones, the images weren't that great. Professional photography and things like that were still at the forefront. The phones weren't advanced as they are in the present. So I go over to her apartment, and, her living room is pretty much a photography studio, except she didn't have the camera. She was, having her friend taking these pictures and stuff. So I set up my camera, and, we go through a photo shoot. We get some pretty decent photos of her. Once again, I'm still starting out fresh. Actually, Angel was my first model that I worked with. So, we're going through the motions of photography, and then of course, conversation is just gonna start. So during this photo shoot, I learned that Angel was, she was an escort. She was pulling in extra money for college. She didn't have any kids, but, she had a certain lifestyle that, she wanted to live. She could live. By all means, that's her God-given right to do whatever, she wants to do. So, she traveled, dressed extremely well. Her dress code and her appearance and, wanting to travel and see different things, that was priority to her. So, she did exactly that. Things got personal, and I learned a lot about her. One being photography, and then two, I used to sell her herb, weed back in the day. So, it's legal now here in the state of Arizona, but, back then it was illegal. And, she was very private about that. So, she opened up and she, let me in. And, we formed a bond very quickly, based off of pretty much photography, our goals, and then of course, blazing trees. And she was old school. There was only 3 of her friends that actually knew she even smoked. We were probably the only people that she really let in to her life, and knew her secrets. And we never judged her or anything like that. That's why it's so confusing how the events turned out between all of us. One of the things that really stood out about Angel, I've never seen women gravitate to her like they did. She wasn't afraid to be herself. She was very outspoken. She was on her grind 24/7. And, I never judged her. I never knocked her for what she did. She was young, beautiful, did everything that I believe she wanted to do. She wasn't ashamed of her line of work, especially with college and stuff like that. She had goals, and, being an escort helped her achieve those goals in a very quick fashion. Now, she kept her business to herself, even after she became a school teacher. We were the only ones that knew. So throughout the semester, she booked more photography shoots with me. We'd sit back and blaze and just talk about our future. We talked about the future quite often. One thing that she definitely wanted was a husband, a family. So, I was doing her photo shoots. Pretty much I was her personal photographer from 2009 to 2013. Once we graduated, she immediately became a school teacher. Kim was the wild one. During the semester, photography shoots are vamping up. She's booking probably 3 shoots a month with me. And it allowed me to get better with working with, models, indoor photography, and things like that. So one shoot in particular, I get inside and there's someone else there. And this is when, I'm introduced to her friend, Kim. Kim was her, business partner. Kim and Angel, they had a hustle. And they took that hustle across the United States. With being their personal photographer, you hear a lot of stories, but you learned a lot, and you learned about how these women would use the strip club to meet a client, and they met clients of all levels, politicians, sports figures. They met all kinds of people in the strip club, and then from there, if the client wanted to do things outside of it, they would take that to that level, whether it was a private show or, in the adult film industry. So, they were out there for sure. And automatically, you could tell Kim was the wild one. She was the exact opposite of Angel. Kim did a lot of things without thinking about it. Kim was just off the hook, man. But they were a very good team. The chemistry between the two of them on camera, I always wondered if there was something sexual that happened between the two of them and they just didn't talk about it, because Angel's personality changed when Kim was around. She didn't talk about the future. She was more about being in the now, in that moment, when Kim was around. And, Kim was the, how can I put it? Kim was the spokesman of the two. Kim very beautiful, gorgeous. You know, she was a go-getter for sure. She probably was the one who roped the clients in, and, you know, Angel sealed the deal. They'd leave Phoenix. I mean, that, you know, I text her and she'll be in Florida, Texas the next weekend, New York the following weekend. I mean, that was, I think they were more than friends. They were, like I said, they were business partners. They traveled, they experienced almost everything. You could, you know, the pictures are there, you know, but she did a lot in a short period of time. And you got to be careful because Kim is no longer alive, right? So if it was up to Kim, Angel would have remained an escort, remained in the adult entertainment industry, and did that the rest of her life. Angel becoming a school teacher was a threat to business and the partnership that the two of them had. I think the education side of Angel was definitely a threat to Kim, and this could have been the reason for a fallout, but the events and how everything turned out, just like I said, it doesn't make sense. Also, shortly after graduation, Angel, you know, got her first teaching job. She was a substitute teacher for Simpson Elementary, then eventually became the full-time teacher at the same school. So the kids that she was substituting, she's teaching those same kids just at the next level, at third grade. So it worked out for her. And this is also where she met Jake. You know, the one thing about Jake, Angel wouldn't admit it, but I knew it. She loved him. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, when you're a friend, a true friend of somebody, anytime they're dating someone and they go through relationship issues, you know, those phone calls to get that male point of view, she would always call me. But when Jake came, those phone calls slowed down. And I believe that was a genuine relationship. Like I said, she won't admit it, but she loved him. And this was really the second, I believe, issue that Kim may have had, because that partnership began to separate even further. But Jake was a school teacher. You know, he taught at the same school. He was a 5th grade teacher. Jake was just he was a man's man. You know, he played baseball, knew sports, was smart, educated, and also because he was a teacher, you know, that was something that Angel just, you know, she gravitated towards him because of that. Jake was that guy. And that probably was a threat to Kim, because Angel began to travel with Jake. Jake became that travel buddy. You know, a lot of the videos that she would send me when she was with Jake, they were always on some nature hike. And, you know, she really began to grow as an individual, but she still had this second life with Kim, and Jake didn't even know about her. This is where Angel became someone who was living a double life. Now, one thing about Angel, she had a given talent to be able to change her appearance. So the school teacher that we saw was not the same person that was in the clubs or booking private shows and in the adult industry. You might have seen her in some adult films and picked your kid up from school and had no idea it was the same person. She was that good. In reality, Angel's growth was far more important than Kim's need for that lifestyle. Angel was in that lifestyle because it helped her get through school. It helped her pay for the things that she wanted, the lifestyle she wanted, the place, the car. And Kim was in that lifestyle because, you know, like I said, you got to be careful because she's no longer alive. But, you know, I think Kim needed that attention. So when Jake came into the picture, Jake was that guy that Angel could share more than just a friendship with. It, you know, was a genuine relationship. I truly believe it was a genuine relationship because most of the guys prior, you know, her independence alone intimidated men. But Jake was a cool dude. Loved sports, loved education. He was an educator, a true educator. He actually coached too. So he knew the game of football, you know, loved volunteering, giving back to the community. And they hit it off immediately. Don't get me wrong now, business was still business between Kim and Angel. They would still leave, go to different cities, book shows, private events, adult films, things like that. But Jake didn't know. That's probably the toughest part about being that male friend, is knowing some of the things that I feel personally he should have known. And Angel didn't want those two worlds to collide. I mean, think about it, you know. Here on this hand, you have this person who is an escort, travels around the nation, booking private shows, strip clubs. She's in adult films. And now in this hand, she's graduated college. She's become a school teacher. She's met a guy that, you know, probably she could spend the rest of her life with. And she's trying to balance those two. She does not want these two worlds to collide.
I'm extremely skeptical here. I don't really trust what anyone has to say. You've got these people saying this, these people saying this, and then you're dealing with things going into the court system, and why weren't certain things allowed? You have to ask yourself that question. Again, I am a huge skeptic, and I'm focused on the actual details of what's going on here. And I'm hearing stories from these people, and everyone's like in my ears with their advice on who to believe, what to believe. But again, I need to see the facts as they are, and not just somebody saying what they think it is. Show me the real details, okay? Let's see that.
Angel was going to do anything to make sure Jake didn't find out about her second life. But, you know, the thing about that is those worlds were going to eventually collide. And one night, Angel called me, and I knew it was serious because, one, she was crying, but two, she wasn't crying about what Jake did to her. She was crying about what she did to Jake. What happened was she was with a client of hers that was actually here in Phoenix, somebody that she saw regularly. And she pretty much told him that she was with Kim, but in reality, she was with this client. And Jake called a couple times. She didn't pick up. And that wasn't like her, because she was always with Kim. And anytime they were out, she had no problem picking up the phone. So Jake calls Kim and finds out that Angel is not with Kim. There was this park that Angel would tell me she would go to with this client of hers. And the next day, while Angel and her client are there, you know, typical fashion, Jake shows up with flowers. He's walking around. You know, he recognizes somebody that is built like Angel.
And he walks over there and sees her pretty much, you know, in some other guy's arms. Jake recognized who he was, and there was a confrontation. And those worlds that Angel tried to separate finally collided. And she was devastated, heartbroken. This was the first time that Angel had called me with problems, and they were all about her. And she recognized that she couldn't do this anymore. He deserved to know the truth. But, you know, from what I understand, Jake was pretty heartbroken, hurt, and he left her right there in the park. So we're on the phone, and she's going through it. She's not happy with herself, her actions. You know, anybody that gets caught, you know, you're thinking differently. And Angel knew she messed up. She turned to drinking heavy because Jake was no longer around. But she had a secret to tell him. And you know, when you're fighting those demons, you turn to something. So Angel turned to alcohol, and she turned back to the life that she had with Kim. All the while, still showing up Monday through Friday as a full-time third grade school teacher. It's amazing. She held it together. She pretty much became a functional alcoholic. She was perfectly fine at work. Then she'd come home and drinking every day, pretty much drinking herself to sleep. This is where Angel's dark side really began to show. And, you know, once again, I don't think Kim helped out, but Kim had her business partner back. Now that Angel has a real drinking problem, some of the shows that they booked don't go as planned. Angel isn't at the top of her game. Angel told me about an argument that her and Kim got into while they were out of town. And it was pretty big. It blew up. Kim was not happy at all with Angel's behavior, who she's become. And, you know, she came to a point in her life where she had to choose between Kim and Jake. And at this point in time in her life, she wasn't happy with either of them. This was probably the first time in Angel's life where things aren't going the way she expected. Maybe she felt like she was losing control. Like I don't know. She had to pick one because obviously the weight of both lifestyles were taking a toll on her. So she had to choose. This is a part of the story that shit just doesn't make sense. Based off of what the detectives say, this is what went down. Angel, Kim, and a group of people decide to go to a concert. And Jake is invited. The environment is great. The energy is just flowing. Angel decides to invite everybody over to her parents' place. Everybody leaves the concert venue and they head over to Angel's parents' place. And this place is massive. The drinks and the fun continues. And the detectives say Angel decides to drug everybody's drink, including her own. At some point, one of the guests recorded Angel and Jake having a conversation. And then, based off of what the detectives say, Angel went on a killing spree.
You know, when I say this doesn't make sense, you have to look at it this way. Apparently, they found the first body somewhere just a little bit before midnight, and then scattered across all these acres. The last body is found the following day. And then, you know, you have all this talk how possibly, and you know, let's just get this straight. I have nothing against the police force, okay? I like to work with them on trying to solve some of these details, but there's rumors that maybe something in the investigation process was not done exactly correctly, so something was mishandled. You know, you got these people over here who don't like these people, you got these people over here who don't like these people, but yet where's the professionality in all of this? Yo, man, what's up? No way. You got it? Oh, seriously. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, get it to me. Send it in a Dropbox file. I'll wait for it. You are the best. Thank you. You know, I have a colleague that I work with that ran across a video that Angel posted on Facebook. Here's the thing though, it disappeared. So why would she post something afterwards and then all of a sudden remove it? What gives, sweetheart? But you know something I gotta tell you. Just because you post it on the internet and delete it doesn't mean it doesn't exist somewhere. So I managed to get a hold of that video. Now, you all remember Detective Bird, right? He's actually going to come back in the studio with me for his second interview. And here's the cool thing. I'm extremely excited about this because my understanding is he doesn't know this video exists. He's never seen it. So, yours truly is going to show it to him.
I'm Detective Bird with the Phoenix Police Department, and as the lead investigator of the Angel case, I'm here to tell you something stinks. There's something wrong here. It was such a horrific experience coming across those bodies, the way I stumbled upon it, but I kicked it in high gear. I went into cop mode. I immediately contacted supervisors, crisis team, the CSI. I got a hold of everyone, did everything by the book. The part that makes me sad is the way I came across not one body, not two bodies. It just didn't stop. Just when I start to get my head around it, and keep in mind, this is at night, 11:30 at night, as I literally stumble on this body. I can't see very well. No one can. And there, in what little moonlight we had, was this human being that was once alive and is now dead. Now, as bad as that is, you realize, oh my God, there could be a bad guy around here, something going on. So you start walking around, knowing you have to secure the scene. That's when all the calls came out. And I got everyone rolling, but I still had to look around, make sure I didn't have a killer. And instead of finding a killer, I find another body, and another body, and another body. It just did not stop. It didn't stop until the next afternoon.
Everybody that was at that party on their parents' property is no longer here. Jake is gone, Kim is gone, and 8 other people. When the cops arrived on the scene that night, they found their first body around 11:38. They found the last body late the next afternoon, almost around 4 p.m. Now here's the strange thing. There was never a 911 call that was placed to emergency dispatchers. The police just showed up. And what they found was horrific. One cop described it as the worst crime scene he's ever seen in his 26 years of law enforcement. There were 4 to 5 different murder weapons. And Angel was the only person that lived. The person I knew, there's no way in hell she could have killed all those people. One of the bodies was so badly dismembered that she actually detached the dude's like face from his skull. Parts of the skull was still like, how could a woman who's 5'7", 135 pounds do that? And what does she do that with? There were bodies in the house. There were bodies on the side of the house. There was bodies down by the little man-made lake. It was blood everywhere. You know, I had to actually take the stand, and I took the stand in defense of Angel. Here's why they thought I was involved. One, she called me. Two, the crime scene itself on that property, there had to be an accomplice, but the DA could never prove it. Some of those murders that took place on that property, I mean, they couldn't even place her in the location. The blood on her was unreal. It was a scene like right out of a horror movie. Bodies were everywhere. And that property is almost 2 acres of land. One of the bodies that was discovered, there was no visible footprints or tire tracks around. It's like something magically placed that body there. Because she was the only one alive and nothing made sense, they charged her with the crime. You know, the police department really dropped the ball on this one. They really fucked up. And it's a big part of the reason why when she went to court, she was found not guilty.
There was too many bodies not to have enough evidence for this case. So the whole idea that there could be a not guilty, are you kidding me? When I came across Angel and the first thing she does is make a phone call, not to police, not to fire, not to ambulance, not to anyone except her friend. Now, how is that not suspicious? How is that not worthy of a tight investigation? It was. It was worthy of a tight investigation. We did a tight investigation. We got enough evidence. Circumstantial, sure, but we had enough. The jury should have convicted. So what went wrong? You tell me. I don't know, because we did our job. What bothers me about this case, I can't sleep without thinking about all those lives. Sitting in trial, listening to loved ones talk about how important that life was that they lost. Not only is this a miscarriage of justice, but there's a killer walking around. You can give him a title, investigative lead. You can give a title, witness, which is a crock of shit. Not only is a suspect, he's a murderer. He was involved. Angel was involved. I'll believe it till the day I die.
Throughout that entire court process, I mean, it was a complete shit show. You know, I just want to know what exactly happened. Because the one thing about this case is all these people died. The person that committed these crimes is still out there. When you look at those crime scene photos and you look at the sheer size of that property, and you got to keep in mind, you're talking about 2 acres of land, intoxicated. We don't know exactly what happened on that property. But the police tried to pin everything on her. You know, the news had a field day with this because there's a few things about this case that just are mind-boggling. First, there's no 911 emergency call. The police just showed up. Second, there's 4 to 5 different murder weapons. Bodies stretched out over 2 acres of land. And through investigation, where some of those bodies were placed, the person that they say killed everybody wasn't even in those locations. You can't even place her there. One of the people that was intoxicated and passed out on the floor was later found down by the lake. And they verified this through the carpet fibers that was on the back of his shirt. So he passed out drunk and was killed in his sleep, and then moved to another location on the property. No footsteps, no tire marks, no nothing.
Sitting in trial every day, hearing the testimony of the officers, hearing Angel, this investigative lead, I thought we were going to get a guilty verdict. So when that verdict was handed down as not guilty, I was shocked. I mean, I was beyond shocked. I was, when you say shock, I mean literally shock, where I felt my blood pressure boiling, I got dizzy. I was literally in physical shock at that verdict. That was the last thing I expected. We just had too much evidence. So what am I missing? What went wrong? I don't want to say it's a travesty of justice, because the jury, I don't want to throw down that jury, but something, in my opinion, stinks to high heaven. All those days listening to all that solid police work, and for what? Not guilty. It's that one case for so many reasons. It was injustice. It was horrible. Sorry, it was horrible. And I'm having a hard time living with what I saw and that outcome.
But Jake's dead. Kim is dead. Everybody there died. And nobody knows why. Nobody knows what happened. I don't even think Angel truly knows what happened. Keep in mind, she was drugged too.
We did the right thing to take this to trial. We had a lot of circumstantial evidence. And you can do a case, you can convict on circumstantial evidence. You just have a lot of it. What we didn't have was direct evidence. Well, maybe because the suspect was at the scene, you think? That was my problem with this whole thing. It always has been. My contention is this case should have been prosecutable. This case should have been a conviction. So where did it go wrong? Who screwed up? Or is there something more to this case? Is there something I don't know? Because this should have been a slam dunk, in the sense that we had so much circumstantial evidence. Yeah, there wasn't direct evidence. There wasn't, DNA that smoking gun. We didn't have the video showing who did the crime. But you can convict on circumstantial, and we didn't. It fell apart. And I think, I don't want to say think. I hate to speculate, but really, that's all I can do. Somebody had their hands in this case and intentionally hurt this case. Again, that's just my thoughts. I don't know. I really don't.
The DA tried to find an accomplice, and he never did. So when the time came, they indicted Angel, and her alone, knowing that it wasn't a solid case. And they went to trial, and Angel's life, unfortunately, came to light. That was probably the worst thing about going to court for her, was having to tell the truth about her lifestyle, because it could have been one of her clients. Could have been the client that Jake got in a fight with. But she had to tell the truth about who she really was and what she was doing. And it probably hurt her the most. But in the end, she was found not guilty. None of the evidence that was stacked against her made sense. None of it did. You weren't going to find a jury that was going to convict that girl. Just none of it made sense.
You know, the verdict really surprised me. Being that she was the sole survivor, you would think she would have been found guilty of this. And for her to walk away, I mean, I don't know. There's still a lot that doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense how she was able to walk away from this.
I just can't see her causing that type of pain to not only them, but their family members. But I want to know what happened to my friend. Did she just snap? Did she try to tell Jake and he snapped? Or did her client track her, become jealous, and killed everybody at the party?
And here's the weird thing. Nobody has heard from her. I had expected to maybe hear from her. I wanted to talk to her. I reached out. I've gotten nothing. I have no clue what her mental state is.
I don't know where she is. Last I heard, she had moved out of the state. But wherever she is, you know the one thing about Angel, she could change her appearance quick. Almost like Carmen Sandiego, you know? If she doesn't want to be found, you won't find her.
You have to wonder, as the sole survivor, if they found her not guilty of this, then what gives? Who is supposed to be held responsible for what happened? And in my mind, she was left there. She survived. She had to have known something. So why can't we find her and talk to her? Why has she not come forward to answer these questions? I'm in the mind frame that she still has to know what happened because she was there.
What the hell did you get yourself into? And where the hell are you, Angel? Really, a couple things that I would want to know is, why did you call me that night? And two, if she knows, what actually happened? Because I know you're still out there. Where exactly you are, nobody knows. But what actually happened that night? There's a reason why this case is unsolved. I think the DA needed to pin it on somebody, and it didn't work. The case was shaky and unstable from the start. But most importantly, and like I said, I believe she didn't do it. The person or people that did do it are still out there right now.
I've thought about it. She's the lone survivor. What the hell? It just doesn't make any sense. And then you have all these other weird elements and all these things that I've heard about. It's just, why? Why is she the only survivor?
Maybe she saw them. Maybe she knows them. I don't know. That athlete that Jake got in that confrontation with, probably wanted revenge for some reason. Who knows? I mean, Angel would have to be the one to tell it, or a new witness would come out. But nobody really knows. All we know is Angel was the only person that survived. And all those other people died as well. They tried to pin it on Angel, but no jury in their right mind was going to convict that girl of all those crimes. It's virtually impossible. She would have had to fly around that property and kill everybody if she did it by herself. Because during the trial, you could tell that she wasn't talking fully. And I think she experienced something that was unnatural. I really do. But, if you ever need somebody to talk to, somebody to hear your truth and what happened and what took place. You know, the state of Arizona, the families and the people that lost loved ones, they deserve to know what happened. And like I said, Angel is the only person that can tell us exactly what happened. And nobody can find her. So, like I said, there's a reason why this case is still unsolved and is open. And really, seriously, you guys, the filmmakers, you know, I hope you get those questions answered, because the community still asks, what happened to Angel Adams and what happened that night on that property? It just does not make any damn sense. And we want to know what happened.
So I keep coming across thoughts that there's something else at play here, and I don't know what it is. I'm not here to accuse anyone, I'm not. But something's not right. Something is fishy. Someone has a hand in this, because that case was investigated perfectly. There was not a mess up. No, it was really well executed, that investigation, from beginning to end. So what's at play here? Again, I don't know. I don't. Is there someone that has connections? And again, I keep going back to one piece of information that really makes no sense. This guy that just gets a phone call, comes down. What's with that? And how come you don't really hear his name? How come there's so much information that we don't know about him? Is there a connection here? Does he have connections? What's going on? I don't like it. It bothers me. Now that's the part that makes me angry.
Maybe it's not meant for us to know what happened. But it's unsettling knowing that the killer is still out there.
Hello? Oh, you do? Okay, yeah, I would love to have that information. Can you give me a second? Let me find something to write it down with. Sure, absolutely, hold on. Okay, and what's that number? Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, goodbye. Wow.
Looking up, the sky shimmers brightly over me.
Autumn was my favorite teacher. I don't believe she could do a horror.
She's a vile human.
Man, they said she was out here slicing motherfuckers up like.
I lie in the long grass, looking up.